I just wanted to talk to you about Patreon real quick. We create Loose Dads because we love the show, we love Dadsnet, and we think that it's really important for dads to know they're not alone. Whether that's in their views on the world, whether that's struggling with parenting, whether that's struggling with mental health, whatever it is, all these things we talk about in the podcast, we think it's really important for dads to know they're not alone. And we put a lot of time into the podcast to make sure that it's the best it can be for you guys, from live streaming it to audio production and everything else that's involved. And we're just asking that if you think it's valuable too, that you head over to patreon.com/loose dads and help put a value on that. I know money's tight at the moment for everyone, and you can sign up for as little as £3 a month. We really appreciate any support for the podcast, whether that's signing up to Patreon or telling a friend and spreading the word that way. Whatever you guys can do, we love you. Thank you for listening.
Welcome, gentlemen, to the Loose Dads podcast.
That was a party political broadcast on behalf of the Loose Dads Patreon. Hello, how you doing? This is Loose Dads. I'm Jim. This is some dads sitting around having a chat and setting the world to rights, and in some places setting the world to wrongs. But we don't have a remit, so we can do whatever we like. On the way, we'll be answering some big questions from Dadsnet Dads. We'll also be inventing the rules for the week. We'll have a look inside the news and see how it affects parents. And we'll start off by introducing you to the panel. Now, today's the day that we're live streaming this on the Tuesday night, the day that the pictures from the James Webb Space Telescope have been released of stars whose light has taken 13.5 billion years to reach us. So I'm going to introduce the panel as space stuff.
Okay. Right, okay.
Sounds scientific.
Sparky, you are CXOU J085201.4-461753.
Okay, right, here we go.
That is the smallest star that we know of.
I knew.
I was going to say the only biggest thing about that was its name.
Exactly. I think that's more impressive than the actual star.
You pipe down, Brad. You've not introduced yet, mate. So we're going to find out yours.
We all know that Jack's kids run rings around him, so he's Saturn.
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
Nice.
If you remember a few weeks back, Brad, he fixed that lock on his bedroom door, and that is because he's hoping for the Big Bang.
I thought that was going to be a Uranus joke.
Uranus, yeah.
You know, someone
an
in the
arsehole.
comments
Something
has said,
like that.
Uranus, here we come. And you know what? I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm not going to use that because I am the sun, and I'm sitting here while all this nonsense revolves around me every Tuesday night live on the internet.
Yes.
I did confound expectations. I did a whole space introduction without mentioning Uranus once. Except,
And
you know,
also,
that's it then.
Also, Jim, you are like the sun because mainly your audience is white van men.
Hey, and you're hot. So, I mean, it's
Check out Jim's page 3.
Or I was just going to say he's a hot ball of gas, but, you know.
Oh, man.
all
All right. Come on. Let's play a game.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's game time!
Now,
There's
was that
Jack's
weird for
Uranus.
everyone else?
Oh,
Really
God.
sorry for
Shades
me.
of last week. Steady on, Jack.
Yeah.
You see, you completely miss out if you're listening to just this as an audio only thing on a Wednesday when it comes out into your podcast provider of choice. You're missing the bits where you get to see random body parts of Loose Dads at the end of little jingles.
You've not seen mine or Sparky's crutch yet, so.
No.
Well, still to come. What we do every week, we play a game. We start off the show by playing a game. It could be a new game that we've invented, an old one that we've used, or something completely different. But I think what we're going to go for is a game that Sparky invented. So therefore, Sparky's Mrs. SJ invented because she does all his writing for the show, as we found out a while ago.
She's great at prep. She's great at prep.
And that is, if you're in charge, what rule would you introduce based around stuff that's happened this week? This week, what would the rule that you wanted to introduce be? So let's, because it's his game, start off with Sparky. What would it be for you?
I've got my hand up
waving
because
his hand like a school.
yeah, I'm waving my hand. I've got my hand up because I'm a good student. But no, after the introduction and how it happens every single blooming week, right? My rule is around this, right? People who aren't my friends, you guys are my friends, so you're allowed to mock my height. But my rule this week is people who aren't my friends are not allowed to mock my height, because I got dissed going to buy a wedding suit this week by a complete random woman, and I'm not.
Oh, no way.
She didn't send you to the kids section, did she?
Right, okay, Jim. Right,
Baby
no,
gap.
don't put me in a mood. Oh, come on, boys. It's a big, serious moment, in fact, which I'm really stressed out about, because the suit, it's a big deal, isn't it? Like, or I don't know. It feels like it is. All right, Connor, you pipe down in the comments as well, mate. So yeah, I'm in the suit shop and we're looking at different suits and stuff. And you know, like these people with the tape measure around their neck, they sort of like they're really good at just measurements. But she just sort of like looked me up and down, and she was telling me about the suits, and then she went, "Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. We'll be able to turn up the trousers or make adjustments to the trousers, and the price is included." And it was like, you're dissing me in front of my future wife here. This, like, I don't mind banter amongst friends, but if you're not my friend, you're just adding to my inferior complex, and I don't need that.
Was she eyeing up your inside leg then as you were talking?
Yeah.
Was she asking you which side you dress and everything, or
What do you mean? Which side I dress? What?
you don't know which
And
side
she
you
said,
dress?
and she said, "Don't worry, we can take that in a bit as well."
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Sorry.
Do you swing your dick to the left, or you swing it to the right when you put on your undies and your trousers?
Brad, there's a natural curve which takes him off to the left, mate. It's just,
I think most men might be left.
Yeah. Okay, well there you go. Comment in the comments. That's what they're there for. Which way do you dress,
quick
guys?
poll.
Quick poll.
Quick poll, blimey.
A short poll.
It gives me sense of humor failure, because when it's a stranger mocking me, I don't know what the level of banter is, you know, but
It's a bit presumptuous, isn't it? Because you don't really need to mention that. You could just say any adjustments that we need can be made. She didn't have to go straight for the you're a little bit short, so we'll turn those up. She could have just said she could have been vague, couldn't she? And you'd think that she would be used to dealing with people of all different sizes in a slightly tactful manner, but evidently not. There you go.
and not to get all like, oh, but if it was like, you know, I was bra fitting a woman and I went, nah, don't worry, they come in small cup sizes. Like, that's not on, guys. And she doesn't know how insecure I am. So, or I could be. But
do any of you have sort of special magical powers that you have because of your job? Because that's obviously her. I bet she could probably tell what your inside leg is just by looking at you.
She went and picked a suit perfectly. Yeah, she absolutely did nail it. And she was just trying to be fun. But I'm like, hey, I get enough of this on the podcast. I don't need you when I'm spending a lot of money on a suit to be mocking me, love. Like,
yeah,
no.
I like that Jim phrased her job as magical powers. And Sparky earlier just said, you know, so she's good at measuring stuff.
You know those people with the tape measure around their neck? They're good at measuring stuff.
It's on a CV, yeah.
Factually correct, though, guys. So yeah, that's
she could either work there or on a building site, but that's it. Two places.
That's it. Yeah.
Brad, what's your rule of this week?
So basically, I think the UK should adopt. Well, this would be my rule. Actually, it would have come into fruition if I was ruling this place. That drop-off and pickups at schools should adopt the American method, where you just got that lane, that carpool lane, or whatever it is. So you can just fling your kids out, or
no stopping.
Oh my God, dude! I don't know what it is. But like, yeah, exactly, dude. If you're just going a casual 2 miles per hour or whatever, I'm sure that's okay enough for the get a bit of a run up. But like, I don't know how you guys find it, but pickups and drop offs, like, people are just dickheads, idiots. Like, they just like that's the way I'm putting it. Like they will double park in the road, block the road. They'll stand around chin wagging, blocking the main entrance to the gate of the school. So like when you're trying to get in or out, you're like, sorry, could we, do a little dance?
Yeah, I find this completely because schools by their nature, they tend to have those gates that go out onto the path. And then there's an extra little gate to stop kids just running straight out onto the road, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like schools mainly have that. And so many people just stand in that area. Just like you realize that this isn't just school pickup for you. This is school pickup for everyone who now has to squeeze past you because you're having a chat with someone that you saw this morning.
Yeah. And in fact, sorry, David Michael from YouTube has smashed it, a McSchool drive-through. I think that's brilliant. I think it's perfect. I think that's what we need to adopt in this country. Because
no awkward small talk or gossip, he says. And that would liven up and make that much easier for everyone involved.
I tell you what would also be good about that. At the moment, I get dobbed in by my wife's friends to my wife. And they'll say, "Oh, Jack was late for school again with the kids. Oh, Jack's always the last one there." Like, what are you telling her that for?
But also, why are they hanging around? Because obviously,
do that.
They must be either they've been there early and they're just hanging around faffing, or they got there just as late as you, but they're the ones to get in that first to your missus. Like, Danny, you won't believe it. He was late again.
You won't believe it. And I have to walk in past them and go, "No, it wasn't me. It was a tractor. It was a tractor this time."
You can use that excuse in Norfolk, can't you?
It's one of the few places you can, yeah.
There's big support for this from Terry. Says Brad's rule would be so good. Got this message said, would it mean that we could order a different kid at pickup if he was at school? I think for once, one of us has struck gold with this. I definitely think.
Well done, Brad. Yeah, I'm not sure how my rule helps anybody else, but Brad, this really is changing school pickup times forever. I'm in for it. But don't mock anyone's height whilst you're doing that.
I went to Brussels a few years ago, and they have a lane for when you're dropping someone off, and you don't want to stop, so you don't want to pay for the parking or anything. You're just literally going to stop. They get out. Then you go, and then they go to the terminal. It's called the kiss and drop lane.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah,
sorry, Sparky, I was just thinking, tying in your rule, if when you're doing a school drop-off, you're late, probably what they'll say to SJ is that Sparky was a little late.
Okay.
I feel bad that I've spearheaded this tonight.
Jim, as well, mate. And you're the one that really does care for everybody's mental health. I know Jack says it, but you really do care.
And you're probably only just a little bit shorter than me anyway, aren't you? Really?
But
what are you, 6'5"? I'm 6'4.5". Anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Sparky, you know why he drops those jokes, though? Because being a bald man means now he's a protected class. Remember, you can't drop any jokes without it being classed as sexism. So that's why he can do this. Wait until height becomes an issue.
One more quick thing on Brad's rule, though. I don't have to pick Jackson up yet, but I've picked him up late from my in-laws, which is opposite a school, and it's insane. Like there was near on a fight between two mums as well because of the way the parking is. Like you say, people, school have imposed a rule that you can't mount the curb, or you can't park on the side that the school is, but people just do it. They just don't care. And then other people try and inflict that rule.
The reason, if you're listening on this audio only version, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, you're like, Sparky sounds a bit distracted when he's talking about that. He sounded like he had a good point at the start.
Yeah, it did. Then he just veered off.
It's because someone, and we can't see the name on this little program that we're using, and apologize, but thank you very much for this, said, if Sparky was late at school, people would be asking him if he was waiting for his mom.
It's a good job. That one's good. That is actually good.
I'm going to assume, though, that the person that wrote that is either from America, Canada, or South Africa,
or Birmingham. Birmingham, they use mom.
What they say, mom.
Yeah,
say, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Hey, up, Bab. All right, Bab. How's it going?
Jack, what would your rule be?
Okay, so I wanted to talk politics on this week's podcast. You guys all told me there was too much politics last week. So my rule is not going to be that any new leaders have a one strike and you're out policy. Okay. I'm not going to talk about that.
All right.
Okay.
The rule I am introducing is that if the temperature reaches 27 degrees in the UK, plans are cancelled. That's it. Just all your plans are cancelled. I do not want to do it if the temperature is over 27 degrees. I do not want to be there. I'm going to sweat and I'm going to be grumpy.
Yeah, it's not
So
fun.
Just
Not
cancel
fun.
them. Just cancel them.
Yeah. No,
That's it.
I think we could all get behind that. This has been a week of extreme temperatures in the UK. I mean, Brad is there laughing at us, obviously.
No. I tell you what, I find and I was actually discussing this with my best friend recently. I find
We're all
heat
here.
in this. Well, all right. Let me rephrase that. I was speaking to me childhood best friend.
Okay.
And
Thanks, Brad.
and I was saying how I find that the heat in this country is by far worse than Johannesburg, because like Joburg, it's dry air, whereas here you got the humidity, because obviously, England and everything else being a little island, really, it's the humidity that kills me, dude. Like 17, 18 degrees here, I find absolutely delicious. 17, 18 degrees back home, people are freezing.
Wow.
It's crazy. So I think it's worse here. The heat here is by far worse.
I saw a great meme describing heat. It's like, when it gets to above 20 degrees in England, it's not like abroad. It's more like the devil's armpit. That's a fair description of how hot this loft is that I'm recording in right now. It's proper toasty up here. I might have to go shirtless. Might be more nudity on this week's episode. And that's just because I've got no choice.
Well, listeners can probably hear my fan going. I've got it tucked between my legs at the moment, so it doesn't pick up on the mic too much. But it's actually quite nice as a dual cooler.
I was in London last week. I met up with Jack. Me and Jack met up in London last week without you two. And
Hell.
And
Hold on. So Jack meets up with Sparky. Jim, you and I, we feel left out, and we have a little, and then you meet up with Jack.
Yeah, because I've realised that I could be the victim, but I could also just get on the cool kids side as well. So.
All right, well, screw you all then.
Yeah, but Brad, before it was those two jealous of our little side WhatsApp about geeky stuff. So
yeah. Well.
So I guess I'm the problem.
I might watch Thor.
You are the problem child.
I'll watch Thor and give you a call and leave them out then. Fine, that's what's happening this week.
Nice, thank you.
Anyway, my point was, it was really hot, and London in the heat is disgusting.
Yeah,
absolutely disgusting.
Horrible.
Tube, like what's the tube like? Devil's armpit.
Yeah, it's basically you're frying. If you're in there for too long, you come out kind of like a fried egg, all shriveled up and everything. Not nice. And actually that kind of leads on to my rule as well. My rules are kind of a similar thing. It's basically all places in the United Kingdom need to stay in their lane, know what they're good at, and not vary from that. So if you want the heat, just leave that to Brighton and Bournemouth and Eastbourne and all those places on the south coast. That's where you need your heat. If you want to live in Yorkshire, you don't live in Yorkshire for the heat, do you? You don't choose to do the Ilkley half marathon on a day where the temperature reached at least 25 degrees, if not more. And I was out there right in the middle of the countryside with no shade, going up some of the biggest hills around here in that temperature, sweating my face off.
Yeah, but hold on, though. If you think those hills were big for you, what would they have been for Sparky?
No, true. Good point. Yeah. He'd have had to have got a Sherpa to take him up the top, wouldn't he?
But Brad, were they even hills? Like, how can we be sure?
I know. For you and I, Jack, it was probably just like a little
speed bump.
What is that?
Okay, giants. Okay.
This is Loose Dads from Dad's Net. On the way next, we'll be diving into the news and find out how it affects parents. That's coming up on Loose Dads. Now, I'm trying to remember if this was actually on last week's podcast or this was a discussion that we had outside of it. I think it was on the podcast where we were talking about Man versus Bee.
I think so, yeah.
It's a new Netflix thing with Rowan Atkinson, and I suggested it wouldn't be very good. Now, what has happened in the last 7 days is that hopefully we've all gone away and watched the first episode of it. Mm-hmm. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
There will be an exclusive podcast based around that very TV show for you. If you are a Patreon member, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/loosedads, where you get exclusive content like us arguing about Mr. Bean. So if you fancy that.
And what I'm going to do is open it up. So normally you have to be like a certain tier to get the special podcast that me and Brad do about geeky stuff. The Man versus Bee one, I feel like that's really, that's got widespread appeal. So I'm just going to make that available to all Patreons.
Okay.
So bear that in mind. If you get on patreon.com/loosedads, go and have a look and support the show, support what we're doing, and help this to continue. Right, let's have a look inside the news. So Jack did want to talk about the leadership election. Just didn't see what we could say about it that was of any interest after last week's rant. And it was a real shame because, Brad didn't get to pull his weight last week because he just sat back during that.
Like, nah.
But I'm hoping this will be something that Brad gets involved with and the rest. There's this bloke called Dr. Paul Morland who has been spouting out and hawking around his plan to bring in a bit of extra tax revenue to the country and to boost the population. He says you should tax childless people. They should pay extra taxes to encourage more people to start a family because apparently the under fives numbers are falling for under fives. There's more people because people are staying alive for longer, but under fives there are fewer of those, and he reckons that we're going to have a shortage of labor. I mean, there's other things that we've done to create a shortage of labor as well, aren't there? But can't undo that.
No
apparently.
politics.
So the problem is, Jim, too many dinkies, couples that are having a dual income, no kids. I was called this before I had Jackson.
Because they're talking about your size.
No. Why does it have to be called that? Is that right? It's got nothing to do with height, but yeah, dinkies, dual income, no kids. When I went out for dinner once with a couple of families, and we ordered extra sausages wrapped in bacons on the side, and they went, "Oh, check the dinkies, dual income, no kids."
Wow, that was what counted as extravagant a few years ago. What was extravagant now? 2 extra peas, please. That's a cost of living crisis.
But that's what they're saying. So tax dinkies is what they're saying, right?
Yeah, basically saying you should pay more tax. And it's been challenged on it, as you'd expect. Right. And he goes, well, we already sort of do it, don't we? Because people without kids don't complain they don't get child benefit. So in a way, they're sort of already paying a bit of a tax. They could pay a little bit more, which I don't know if he's got a book to sell or something.
I just want to say, as someone who has 2 kids, child benefit is not enough to make it worth it. Like, if someone was thinking, I might have a kid because of the financial benefits, I'd just get him to take a closer look at that.
Yeah, recalculate.
Yeah.
So maybe what he's saying,
and that amount of money is not worth.
I think child benefits is an absolutely stupid idea. There you go. I'm just going to put out a blanket statement for you guys.
Oh, okay, that's fine. It's
There you
usually sparking with speaking statements,
but
you go for it.
No. Like, why? If you can afford to have a kid, you have a kid. You don't make it taxpayers or the government's responsibility to then give you a little bit of extra money because you decided to plant your seed. Like, no. It's just like it like the amount of people it promotes of like laziness, the amount of council people that are living off benefits because they get paid and then they have more kids and they get more benefits and then they just don't work and then they have this toxic environment that they raise these kids in, and then these kids grow up with the same mentality and laziness and disrespect. And
it's very much the minority.
Yeah, Brad.
It's it's not the minority.
No,
Okay,
it's not the
interesting.
minority.
Okay, because do you
Really?
think that's the picture that gets painted a lot? Like, I think child benefit is great for like things when people's circumstances change. Like, you plant the seed and then shit happens. But but you see, those people are always seen as the minority. But I think potentially the people you're talking about might be the minority. I think people want to work. Like, I don't know.
Dude, I don't
Yeah,
know. When you revert back to pick up some drop-offs, I don't think that's the minority, my friend. I think it's the majority of people who just sit around doing nothing with their lives.
We've got quite a nice cross-section of the UK here, of dads in the UK. We've got quite a nice cross-section of UK dads. Can we just have a show of hands who does have child benefits or does claim them?
I don't think I can. I definitely did. My mum did when I was a kid.
We'll get the basic child benefit.
If you get basic, then then
okay.
My accountant would do that.
Keep your hands raised if you keep having kids because it's really worth doing, and then you don't work. Oh, I didn't mean to keep my hand raised. I was watching you guys.
You put your hand up.
I'm trying to knuckle down on these numbers, Brad. So the majority of people have kids so they can have benefits, or the majority of people on benefits do it because they're lazy?
No, I'm saying there is a vast majority of people that choose that lifestyle, and I see it everywhere you go, dude.
No, but even you're saying majority. A majority of what?
Of people that I see. No, not a majority of people. In the UK.
The majority of people in the UK, so more than 30 million people, are living on benefits and are too lazy.
You see now, Jim, when I say the people that I've seen, you're forgetting the part where I've said the people that I've seen, the majority of people that I've seen that aren't living off of the tax benefits, not getting themselves a job. I got a good few amount of people local to me that do that.
Okay, Brad, how about this? Just this is a different way of thinking it slightly. Is like, I think you're right to be angry at that thought that people are sponging off and using child benefit. Like, that's reasonable to be angry and annoyed about that because people do work hard for stuff. But I think you'd be shocked at how much it wasn't the majority. I think that people want to better their situation. And I think we have been trained by, I don't know, whatever paper you might read or whatever just gets chucked out there to make you think that, they just want flat screen TVs and not to do any work. And I don't know how true that actually is if you dug down into the numbers. But if you see it and it irritates you, then that's fair. That's a fair point.
But let's take it to this point then. Like you're saying, when circumstances change, you've got, what is it over here? The not the dole. What is it? When you unemployment. What is it?
Universal credit.
Universal credit. So like if your circumstances change, then there's another backup. But if you can't afford a kid and it's not part of your financial, it's not everyone else's obligation to pay for your child.
I agree.
The child benefit doesn't pay for your child.
But you're getting money. But you're getting. Okay, yeah, but you say that though, dude. Like Jim said, times that by what do you get? Like $250 a month. Times that by God knows how many people. That's a shit ton of money, dude. That just gets thrown at people that should have. And if their circumstances change and they need that, then they need that money.
In the ocean.
But it's also an investment. It's an investment in children, isn't it? That's why the government does it.
An investment in children.
Yeah. Well, they give money to help children.
If you can't afford them, Jim, don't have them.
No,
Simple.
that's not what I'm saying. Because that's the whole thing. They pay it for every child. Every child gets that. Every parent gets child benefit.
I don't get child benefits.
Well, it's there. It's on offer. The idea was to give it to child benefit. The very basic is for everyone, every child, whether you're a billionaire or whether you're on the dole.
Yeah, I know. The child gets until like they're 18 or something, which, like most people, if they want to put it into savings for the kid, that kid can have that money. That's cool. That's fine. Go for it, because by the time they're 18, the shoot up in the fiscal rate, that bloody money will be like equivalent of £10 now by the time they hit 18. But that aside, I don't believe it. Like, I come from a background in a system where if you can't afford a kid, the government's not going to help you because that's your decision as an individual. It's not anyone else's responsibility by yourselves.
But are we holding South Africa up as like
no.
the pinnacle of
we're not holding up South Africa.
Growth?
we're not holding up South Africa, but we're holding up why is it a government's responsibility to put money into everyone's bank account?
The problem is that we're talking about this in general terms. You're talking about anecdote. You're not talking about facts. You're not talking about numbers. Benefits. There are three main parts of benefits in this country. The biggest amount of benefits is pensions, which you can't argue with. That goes there.
Worked your life, you deserve it.
The second largest amount.
By Brad's logic, we shouldn't pay old people either. It's
Just
their own
'cause they've
fault
got
for getting
old.
old. Yeah.
Although
No, that's different,
I
dude.
got
Because
money.
getting old is part of your life, but having a child as a parent is your obligation to that child to be responsible. It's not the government's responsibility for your own children's upbringing; it's yours.
But don't get old. Just jump off a bridge.
That's a completely different story, Jack. Completely different story.
Anyway,
Your parents chose to have you. Life is just something you're given without your choice, right? So you go through life and you got to live it, and you got to live it by however means you do. But your parents had a choice to have you.
So then there shouldn't be any benefits. There shouldn't be any benefits.
No. I agree. I'm happy as a
your
taxpayer.
parents chose to have you, so they should fund you.
Okay, Brad. Okay, what are you asking? What are you saying is, do you think we should re-look at the benefit system so it is not swayed for people who aren't in work? Like, is that what you're saying more than
I love
benefits
the
shouldn't
fact,
be a thing?
No, I'm more than happy to pay tax if it goes into a system that say, Jack, you lose your job and you need help for a while so you can get back on your feet. More than happy with that because life throws you curveballs. Yeah, don't start. You're going after short people and our old people, Jack. Calm down.
Facebook comment, Jesus, Jack, you're hard on us old guys.
Can I just go back to my point? My point is that we're talking about this and we're falling into that trap that the papers do of just going benefit street and things.
No.
Biggest part of benefits are pensions. Second biggest chunk of benefits that we pay in this country are for in-work benefits for people who are in work, but they're paid so badly they can't afford to live.
Yeah.
The third one, the smallest amount is people who are purely just on benefits. Okay. That is not a massive section of society. Whatever you think, whatever your anecdote is, the facts are that's not massive. Okay. There will be some people who purposefully stay on benefits because they've realized that they can do better on that. Mm-hmm. But to say that's the majority of people is bullshit. It's just not true. That's a certain amount of people who would do that.
That's a lovely story, Jim, but we've come to the end of that I've said. The majority of people I see, I agreed with you ages ago that it's not the majority of the populace. I agree.
Well, then
100%.
I don't really know what your point is. Then
so what? You've walked into a job centre and gone, "Well, this is life. This is
no
an example of the entire population."
You see how you guys are hanging on to one little piece of what I said.
Yeah,
I've
because
said
I've seen, you've got so cross about a tiny section of society.
No. I said, like, from what I've seen and witnessed, that there's a high grasp of people that take advantage of that system. But I said I don't agree with the system completely, utterly. Even if you are earning money and you can pay your bills and whatever, I don't agree with the government giving you additional $250 a month for your first child and less for subsequent childs or whatever the amount is for now. I don't agree with that whole system entirely. That's what I'm saying, Jim.
With Dark Knight's point, I agree though. Like potentially that's the way around it. Free childcare for people who are in work paying their taxes. Like there's definitely a conversation to look at them, but benefits do help people massively. Definitely helped me in my life. Like growing up, I'm a council state kid who grew up on the 16th floor in a tiny flat in an estate in Pompey, and I've bettered my circumstances through the help that they gave me. So they are imperative to the journey I've gone on, and that's what the boys are saying about benefits, is how they are an investment in children, and that investment in me gave me an opportunity for a better life, which I'm living now. So, and now I'm paying more tax, and I'm paying back into the system, and I'm paying back what I took back in the day, what my mum took for me. So like there is a roundabout way, Brad. You can say that as a sweeping statement that you shouldn't bring a kid into this world if you can't look after them or you can't be responsible. That's fair point. Like that's fair, but it's also not realistic in this world, because I tell you what, there's a certain amount of a lot of politicians that are spending millions of pounds of our money on I just need to pay for my horse stables or whatever, or parties or whatever, and their expenses. That's the word I was looking for. How there's a fair money that comes out of the pot for that, which you're paying for too, which I'm sure you're not happy about. They are multi-millionaires. Like they have got more money. They don't need expenses, but there are people like you say who have got kids working full time, paying their taxes, and they can't afford childcare, and they're broken. Like we're living through a cost of living crisis. So your points you're trying to make, you're on the side of people, which we all are on this podcast. But I think you're blurring it, and there are always going to be dickheads that are just, going to claim off benefits and not try and better their life. But they've got to live with that in their life, that their achievement is they didn't give back. And you want to hope that if we're going to build a society with people with good morals, that they're going to want to make something of themselves and put back into the world, right? I don't know.
That was great, dude. I think Sparky for president.
No.
I'm saying, but no. It's a great point, Sparky. No, I'm not going to disagree. Firstly, can I just chime in and say, guys, the 250 was just a throwaway comment. I don't know what the bloody
loads of people. £250 on benefit.
That was just a random number that came to my head. Please don't hold me to that, for the love of God.
Figures aren't Brad's thing. But.
Yeah, exactly. Jim's the Excel man with all the numbers and the logic, so we'll just leave it to Jim. Sparky, I loved what you said. It gives me something to think about. And guys, please, by all means, my blanket statement wasn't not meant to be a general everyone abuses the system. All right, let's just put that out there. All right.
I'm just getting flashbacks to that time when Sparky said it's every teenager's right to dress up as Hitler.
Guys, let's get back.
I really feel like we do a few sweeping statements on this podcast every now and again.
Right then, go on, Sparky. You give us a news story.
Okay, right, news story. Let's bring this right back round then, guys. My favourite story of the week. I don't know how we're going to go from this to that. Is the headline is: Man left in burning pain after mistakenly using Tesco toilet wipes as loo roll.
I love that this message has come up saying it's got all serious, going to crack a beer, just to the point where both Brad and Sparky want to talk about a man who's burnt his bum on some Tesco cleaning wipes.
But I don't know if I'm on this guy's side. Are you on this guy's side, Brad? Let's do it together as our news story then. Because
wait, were they like baby wipes or were they like?
No, dude.
Tesco
have dressed them to look almost like disposable wipes that you would use for your butt.
Yeah, it says flushable toilet wipes. So, so you might, if you were sitting there, if you're at someone's house and you've not seen this product before, and you thought, "Oh, I'm going to go for a deep clean rather than just a casual wipe today," because if you ever, sometimes we've all done it, right? A minute in now because it did get too serious just a minute ago. We've all gone. There's a lot of baby wipes in this house. I'm going to have a courtesy wipe this evening.
I mean, if you're flushing them down the toilet, though, you're the problem, not the solution.
No, Jim, they're going in a nappy bag. But sometimes, guys, you know what it's like? It's like trying to get peanut butter out of a shag pile rug. It's difficult. A wet wipe helps. And that's what this guy's done. He's gone straight in and he's picked up the actual toilet cleaning wipes and he's bleached his ring piece.
Yeah, he pretty much bleached his ring piece, didn't he?
Do you remember when the first lockdown hit and everyone was running out of loo roll, and it must have become one of the most searched things on the internet? Like, how do I do reusable toilet roll? Like, people were searching for the best way to do rags. Wipe their bums with rags, and do you have the? Sorry, was not everyone searching for that? Because your silence makes me think that was just me.
I mean, to be honest, though, I didn't even get the banana bread thing, so maybe I was just out of touch. So maybe other people were doing that.
Guys, we got to go.
I was not wiping my ass with banana bread.
I mean, isn't that going back to the 80s and before that, dude? Before disposable nappies, they would use cloth nappies, weren't they? So you were just trying to find a.
But don't forget, I was vegan, so I was all about the planet.
So you were looking for a hemp one, hemp variant.
Yeah.
Oh,
come on, Jack. It's got serious enough now. Let's not start pushing your vegan message this evening, please.
I'm not vegan anymore. Not vegan anymore.
Not people don't want hemp nappies. We know that, right? Yeah. So is he looking for some compensation? I imagine that's what he's going.
I don't know. I think he's just looking for some attention because, you admit this. Do you know what you think? I've wiped my ass with the wrong thing. Did I tell you what I'm going to do? I'm going to call the mirror and say, "Hello, I've got a story for you." Why has he done this? Why?
Do we have a quote from him about what happened? Because at the moment we can guess what might have happened, but I'd love to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Right.
If there is such a thing.
Yeah, well, he said, I thought the product was wet wipes, you used to go to the toilet with, but it turned out it wasn't the case. When I developed the soreness, I knew something wasn't quite right. And when I checked the packaging, it says kills 99% of bacteria and your asshole by the seams of it.
And Uranus.
And Uranus.
I once, when I was, I don't know, 11, went to put some deodorant on. I sprayed it all on. I was like, oh yeah, lovely. Oh, that's a bit burny, isn't it? Oh, that's a bit warm. I'd sprayed deep heat all under my armpit for like tons of the stuff.
Dude, I got a similar story. So long time ago, before I moved over here, we I think most people have this. You have like one family member or a friend who will get drunk enough and be stupid to do anything you tell them to do, right? So my cousin back home is one of those people. And he drank a little bit and he was drunk and he was like, all of a sudden he just went, guys, shave my chest, right? So we took a razor blade and we literally bladed down to his skin, right? And it was raw and whatnot. And he was like, oh my God, this is a little bit sore. So my dad goes, deep heat solves that. Oh, right.
Oh my God.
And he let my dad rub deep heat all on his chest. Oh man,
Jeez.
That like 10 seconds max before he started screaming. On the flip side of that, though, only 2 years ago, like he phoned me up one time. He's like, "Oh man, yeah, I got to pay it forward. I did that to one of my nephews because he had his mates around, and so he paid it forward."
I feel like your chest has literally been torn off.
Do you know?
When you
in a
watch
similar
the
vein.
if you ever watch the Antiques Roadshow and they go, "Oh, this has been passed down through the generations," this in Brad's family. It's the deep heat on the shaved chest.
In a similar vein, don't use Vix as lube. Right. Should we move on?
Who, her or you? Who did that hurt the most?
Let's move on.
Hey, he got caught out last week as well talking about that. Sort of
because
stuff.
Daddy was watching, wasn't she?
Jack,
I never said anyone else was involved in this one. Right.
Jack, what's your story? You didn't get a cold for ages, though, did you?
Did your penis still sneeze?
Right. Drivers are at risk. Did you ask me to do a news story? I assumed I was just moving on. Okay. It felt like the right time. Drivers are at risk of £5,000 fines for driving in sunglasses during the UK heatwave.
Right? Is that not right? Should you not drive in sunglasses?
Well, you're not supposed to wear tinted glasses that impair your ability to see properly.
What about if you're driving into the sun and the sun impairs your ability to see properly?
Well, now, here's the flip side. There's another rule in the highway code that says that you will get a fine and points on your license if you do not dress appropriately and cause an accident because of that. So if you don't wear sunglasses, you are also at risk of a fine.
This is ridiculous, man. What about the people who's taken the Specsavers deal and got reaction lenses? And so,
I think they're the only people who are okay. Because anything else, they could be too dark, the sunglasses, the frames could be too big.
So Jack, just to say, Robin Granger says, just pull down the sun shield. The problem there, Robin, is for people like Jack and myself, is when you pull the sun shield down,
you can't see the roads.
Yeah.
And for me, guys,
and also,
before you mock me from I have to really sit up tall when I pull the sun shield down. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
You've had to install one of those roller blinds, haven't you? It goes all the way down.
You see, and Connor's going, "Oh yeah, common sense to use the sun shield." That doesn't work. It doesn't work. I used to drive early in the morning to Hull every day. It's one long road and it heads east, and the sun rises in the east. And at certain points in the year, it would just be the sun shining in your face all the time. I don't have sunglasses because I'm not Tom Cruise. But you'd try the shield thing and it would just do nothing. All it would do is block the top bit and then the sun would pour out underneath and it seemed to focus it more in your eyes. So I don't think that is common sense. I just think don't go to Hull is my takeaway from this.
But that is common sense, isn't it?
Well, there you go.
But also, like, windscreen manufacturers tried to implement, I don't know, like that 1/3 blue shaded section at the
Yes.
top of
Yeah, yeah.
windscreens. But does that ever work? No.
And when they used to have it, when you used to have your name and your missus' name on the top as well, that was cool in the 80s. But, you know, they don't do that anymore. I think they should bring that back.
Guys, on my F-Reg Fiesta, which I had my first ever car, I bought a motorsport one off a guy on the market, and I had motorsport on my 1 litre Fiesta, which topped out at 67. So come on, guys.
Did you also have a sticker on the back with the Nürburgring, as if you'd gone round it in your Fiesta?
Connor's literally just called me Ali G. Yeah, it wasn't my Vauxhall Nova, it was my Fiesta. Yes, blood.
This is Loose Dads from Dadsnet. On the way, we're going to be answering some questions from Dadsnet members and seeing if we can provide some advice. What do you think from having listened to the last 45 minutes? This is Loose Dads from Dadsnet. Yeah, there's a good point here from Dark Knight who says if you have that with your name on it, then you'll just get your name sunburnt in reverse on your forehead. So actually, yeah, that isn't a great idea, is it? This is Loose Dads from Dadsnet. You can find us on Instagram at Loose Dads Pod. Go and follow us on there. We might even give you a follow back, you know, if you're lucky. And we can interact like they do on social media all the time, like the cool kids do, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. Anyway, time for the big question.
The big question of the week.
The big question of the week.
The Dadsnet is a brilliant resource. And I don't just say that because they pay me money. I mean, I say it a little bit because they pay me money, but not 100%. There are loads of great forums on Facebook, loads of groups. There's the main community group. It's a private group, so you can ask your questions there, knowing that you're in a safe space. There's the kind of interest-based groups like sport groups and DIY groups. There's location-based ones. There's one in Leeds, near where I live, and all over the country as well. And we take questions from there and try to help the dads who've got some problems. And if you've got any big questions that you want to ask now, if you're watching on the live stream that we do on a Tuesday night, you can add them in the comments and we will tackle them live without even proofreading them first. We like to live on the edge. This one from one of the Dadsnet groups says, how does everyone cope with a three-nager? Constantly being ignored, having to say things 10 times, the lack of interest in eating proper meals, tantrums. It's putting us off taking her to places because she's just hard work. We love that she's got her own mind and all that, but she's stubborn as hell. And sometimes I find myself shouting at her and then regretting it later. That's the thing, isn't it? When you go, I want them to think for themselves, but not too much, not just a little bit.
Yeah. Right? There was a bit in there where I thought you were going to say, it's putting us off her.
Just leave it there.
Just in general.
That's so true, man.
So you're the closest one to this then, Jack, are you? With
I've got one.
You've got one.
I've got one, and I've just got one out the other side of it. So I've got a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. Probably the hardest age I've encountered so far is 3. I thought 2 was. I was wrong.
Don't say that, man, because it's hell at the moment for me.
No, three's the absolute worst. It's the absolute worst.
This is a common problem people have. Dark Knight has this problem. Connor has this problem as well. Have you found a way to succeed, Jack? From the stories you tell, I'm guessing no. But at least give us for a bit.
No, perseverance. Like eventually there won't be 3.
Yeah, okay.
We had
65 days.
We had a meltdown at the swimming pool the other day, and the swimming teacher turned to me and she was like, "Oh, is everything okay? Like, what's up?" And I went, "He's 3." I don't have an answer for you. He's 3. I can't predict this. I can't do anything about it. It's just so frustrating because you can't do anything. Like, I really want to help, but you can't do anything about it. So I don't know. I drank a lot of beer.
It's nothing more annoying than the patronising. Is everything okay? Well, clearly not. My kid is kicking off. You're not helping, love. Like, honestly, do you always do? Please tell me at 3 they stop the throwing their head back to hit the floor thing. You know, when they sit on the floor and almost like you've got to try and catch their head, and it looks like you're trying to fight them back, but you're not. You're just trying to stop them from hurting themselves. Like, please tell me that stops.
No, not really. No, it sort of just carries on.
We really are. And okay, here's the advice then that we all need. That it sounds like Connor needs it. Dark Knight too. How do you stop not getting irritated at your misses too? Because depending on what mood you and your other half are in, like you can also trigger each other. Like, oh, are you being a bit sharp with him? And it's like that doesn't help either. How do you stay calm through that, Jack?
Yeah, you need to have that kind of team meeting before you go in and deal with the three-nager, don't you? You have to go, right, whatever happens, we stick together. Like
the problem is 3-nagers are so constant that you can't have that team meeting every single time. So I think that before you have a 3-year-old, definitely before you have kids, whenever you have an argument with your other half, you're like, you get to the end of it and you might strop off in your own directions, and then you spend time going, oh God, I feel really bad about this, or is this trouble on the road of our relationship? And then you have kids, specifically 3-nagers, where you are just going to bicker all the time, and you walk away from it going, they'll get over it. Like that's the difference. You stop worrying about it. You go, they'll get over it. I'll get over it. 10 minutes pass, you come back, you talk like normal. I don't know if that's healthy, but yeah, you're right. We've got bigger problems because in 10 more minutes, he's going to do that shit again. So we don't have time to linger on those arguments.
So some advice from the streaming audience. Child benefits for beer to deal with the 3-year-old. Robin says, we have whatever you call the 5 and 6-year-old versions of this. We try and be more engaging. We find that spending quality time really helps. Mum does crafts and Lego, and Dad does sports in the garden when the weather's nice. But sometimes just a calm chat about what is appropriate behavior can help. It's 100% a difficult time, though.
Yes. What was said there about being more engaging, spending quality time with them. Actually, we found Jake was really tricky when he was 3. And what we started doing was, because Harry's younger, we would put him to bed and then give Jake half an hour at time after that downstairs, just with me and Danny, just playing games, just one-on-one, building Lego, whatever it is. And suddenly he felt like he was getting a lot more of that one-on-one time, a lot more engagement. And it did lessen the impact of it slightly.
Slightly. I think the other thing is because they're developing at such a rate that for these tiny little humans, they're feeling such big feelings, and they don't know how to moderate them. They don't know how to make sense of them. They just feel them, and that's the way that they come out. They come rushing out in either anger or excitement or tears or whatever. And you know what? That still happens even when you're an adult. Sometimes your feelings, like Jim can call me an ignorant douchebag, and I get a little bit stroppy, and then we step away from it and we calm down and we assess the situation. It's the same with kids though, but like they're experiencing it for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's I think one of the important things is to try and help them learn about what they're experiencing and remind them that it's okay. So as much as it's annoying as hell for them to throw a strop and scream, you got to speak to them about what that emotion is and what they're feeling. And, maybe a better way that when you feel that sort of feeling coming up, maybe try and count to 10 in your head before you try and give them sort of coping methods. I know 3's, it's super young, but it's just because that's their only
blocks.
An outlet. Yeah. It's their only outlet for all of that.
I gave Jake a stress ball.
Yeah.
So that when he's really angry like that, he can go to his room and just like throw it, stress out on it, do whatever he wants, punch it.
It's really bad though when they start lobbing stuff though. Like when you're in a restaurant and then he's like got his cars and he just lobs them, and then you give him this nuggle to try and calm him down. He lobs that, and then he's like, no! It's like, oh my God, It's horrible. But look, you get over it. Do you just get over the embarrassment of it happening in public as well? Would you just be like, oh, do you know what? Sod it. Look at us. Yeah, we're our child screaming. We're crap parents. Think what you like.
Yeah, I kind of have got over that. Like, this is happening. I can't do anything about it. You think what you like.
Yeah, you have to, don't you? You have to not be self-conscious in public anymore. That's one of the positives, I guess.
That's the thing is, they are kids and they're going to do that. And the beauty of it is they can embarrass the living shit out of you when they're young, but you can get your payback when they grow up.
No,
it's coming back.
Get the DP and shave their chest, bro.
Old family tradition.
That'll learn you.
Just going to leave a pot of Vix in the bathroom.
with the side that says lube.
This question says, how are you guys dealing with stress? I'm struggling right now. Everything with the rises in bills and general life and work. And how do you unwind and de-stress? I feel it's affecting my relationship, but I'm trying the best for it not to. So does anyone have any good de-stressing techniques?
Well, I think watching this podcast once a week is a great way to get there.
No, definitely.
Have we got anything else?
I think for me, like, one thing I've found over the last few years, and is with being a dad and all of that, I lost part of my identity as to what makes me an individual. So like, I used to be heavily like into writing and composing and producing music, and I don't do that now. And as a youngster, I used to love gaming, and I've now started getting myself back into that. So like, literally whenever I can have like just a 5 to 10 minute break in between like life and whatever, I can just separate myself and just take just 10 minutes just to try and distract myself from the rest of the world. Because things are getting super stressful out there, bills, and like, things are just skyrocketing at the minute. I don't think it's going to get any easy for a while.
I tell you what, Connor. Oh, go on. Robin's point's good.
Robin said PlayStation, reading, even colouring with the kids. Now, I agree with it to an extent. Puzzles
are great, man.
I agree with what Robin's saying to an extent, except for me, it's not with the kids. It's without the kids. Like, it's finding those moments. It's finding those things that are me, that are just me. It's not me as a dad. It's not me as an employee. It's not me as a cleaner. It's me as Jack. So it's playing guitar, it's playing basketball, coaching, building guitars, whatever. Like, it's getting to do those things, even for 10 minutes a day, just sort of like help.
And I don't know if you have the same though, Jack. It's also about trying to train your brain not to feel guilty about it either. I don't know if you have the same, like when you're, doing your luthier work and you're like building a new guitar and whatnot, and you kind of feel like, oh, I've been doing this for an hour. Oh, I should be doing something with Danny, or I should be doing something with the kids. It's like also trying to tell your brain, shut up.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to have this.
I've heard a lot of so-called experts saying, oh, well, when you have kids, you just give up your life and you dedicate it to them. And it's like, that is bullshit advice. That's awful.
Welcome to mental health problems.
I'll tell you one thing.
Most of us.
Just as well, because he was saying he's struggling with everything right now. Like, I feel like I get overwhelmed by reading the news too much. And one of the best things I did for my mental health in the last year was delete all of the apps that give you push notifications for the news. Because what was happening to me was I was waking up in the morning and it would be like, boom, boom, Boris has fucked up again, boom, boom, like all of these things. And it's like, you see, oh, COVID's bad, 5 million people are dead now, or whatever, and it's like, that's the first thing you see when you wake up in the morning, and it starts your brain in a certain way. And deleting that and just going to check in on the news when I want to is a massive change. Like, if you're getting stressed with all because I think every day we find out that something else is in shortage or getting more expensive.
Yeah.
I need to stop my Twitter
Lurpak's £7.25 now.
That's the latest one. There you go.
Yeah.
I need to sort my Twitter feed for this very thing, because you get surprise news coming at you, or surprise angry views coming at you. And it's like, I don't want that. I wanted to see some stupid stuff. So I think I need to curate that better, because I think definitely picking up the news when it agrees with you is definitely the way forward, because at the moment there's just so much of it coming at you. It's
absolutely good. And I'm glad Sparky did that, because like years ago when I fell into my mental health anxiety issues, I cut the news out completely, because exactly the same thing, Sparky. I would be reading the news before I go to bed and waking up, and
it starts your mood. It chooses your mood for you, doesn't it?
You never see a positive story. You never see one that makes you go, oh yeah, I feel good about life. This actually makes me feel. It's always doom and gloom, and that's what sells, man. It just gets thrown down your throat all the time.
And men wiping their backsides with bleachy white.
Hey, the weird section of the mirror I'll always go to, though, guys, because there's always a smile there waiting for you.
By the way, I did want to interject and say, funny enough, though, today I did actually have a second story backed up, and I thought you guys would appreciate it, and I'll just touch on it quickly. I won't go too much into it. But the fortune-telling asparagus lady's back.
Okay, right. We'll save that for now.
That's a throwback, right?
Yeah.
And basically, the asparagus says that what's his name? Ben Wallace is going to be the next PM. There we go. Done and dusted.
The asparagus is getting involved in the leadership debate that we decided not to.
Interesting, because he's not even running. So
wow.
Hey, watch those space.
The asparagus.
Don't question the asparagus.
Robin suggests having a conversation with your other half. They might be feeling the same. You can help each other out of your funk. This person says, I find playing the piano is total escapism after a difficult day. And just one more question. Really, I think we have to finish, but there is one more question. I met this person and he had a question that he wanted asking. Would it be weird for a grown man to go to a musical by themselves? He didn't want me to name him, but he's Chris Hanscom. Would it be weird?
Go.
Cinema's okay, but a musical's a step too far.
No, go for it. Do whatever the hell makes you happy, man.
That's it. The problem is, it. People are afraid to do what makes them happy these days because they're worried about what people might think. Just do what
I can shed some extra light on this. It was the Back to the Future musical.
Do it, dude. It is the greatest musical I've been to in a very long time. Do it. Epic effects,
honestly.
Epic actors, epic music. Do it. You will not be disappointed.
Do it. One of the best things I ever did.
We should all go to a Back to the Future musical.
Yeah, if not a musical, one of the best things I did was went on holiday on my own, which was terrifying when I got on the plane. Like thinking, but I went away.
Because SJ was ringing you.
Where are you going?
You got a kid now. You can't do this.
Time when I was single, and I did like random things. Like I went to Monaco and I walked the Grand Prix track, which no one would ever want to do with me, but I did, and didn't have to feel guilty for anybody. It was only awkward when I went to see Mills. But my friend, just quickly, is getting therapy at the moment. And one of the things the therapist suggested was, make a list of all the things you'd like to do if you're in a relationship right now and do them. And you actually might find the person that you want to be in a relationship with at those places, or,
So it's not the bucket list. It's the fuck it list. I'm doing it.
Yes, Brad. There you go.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice. And on that note, this is Loose Dads. We stream live from 8:30 every Tuesday night. It goes into your podcast player on a Wednesday morning. Do join us for the live stream. It's nice. By the way, Chris Hanscom went to the musical and it was awesome, is what he said. Everyone's happy and it all ties up nicely at the end. Thank you very much to Sparky.
Thanks, boys.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks, gents.
Thank you very much, Jack.
It's been a good one. Cheers, guys.
Basically, if you can, tell another person about this podcast, get them involved. Tell them that middle bit where we had the big argument doesn't happen every week. Sometimes it does, though. You never know when it's going to happen.
Hey, you know what? It's been a long time. It's been a long time.
Yeah. But you never know what you're going to get. That's the excitement. And if you can leave us a review, like 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and a review on Apple Podcasts would be absolutely brilliant, because that is how we get shared with other people. And we will see you next week. And Connor has just put, see you later, short stack.
Okay.
And
right. I might not be here next week.
All right. See you later. We're Loose Dads.
Loose Dads, a Dadsnet original podcast.